we are going to see billions with a B of robots out there. So think about it this way. There are 8 billion people on this planet, right? And, 30 million robots, as big as it is, it's not even 0.5% of 0.5%, right? Of the population. So we are, in this exponential growth right now.
Are robots soon to be part of our everyday life in hotels, restaurants, airports, everywhere? Hello and welcome to Tech First. My name is John Koetsier. First time I saw a robot in a hotel, it was in Japan. It was more than a decade ago. It might have been 15 years ago. It was mostly a toy, but it was cool. Question is that changing? And where are robots close to actually delivering business value? To chat, we have Elad Inbar. He's the CEO of RobotLab. They've deployed tens of thousands of robots in businesses over the last 15 years. Welcome, Elad. How are you?
Thank you, John. Thanks for having us.
Hey, super pumped to have this conversation. Let's start with a super big picture. We're going to get into the details, where you deliver robots, what they do, how much they cost, payback periods, all that stuff. But let's start with the really, really big picture. It's really early days in terms of robotics. There's cool stuff. There's amazing stuff. What kind of future do you envision when you look forward? Maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 20, I'm not sure. But what kind of future do you envision robots and humans working together?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I always love to start from, the big picture because especially in technology, it's very hard to, comprehend the pace of changes. And, we all, remember the first, mobile phone, the Motorola with the shoulder strap, right? This was launched somewhere in
I don't
the
know if
late.
we all remember that,
Not all,
but okay.
but we know of it. Okay.
Yes.
But anyways, it was launched roughly in the late 80s. And a decade later, by the late 90s, everyone already had a mobile phone. The same happened with a smartphone, right? From the time, Android, the iPhone was launched, until everyone has a smartphone, it's roughly a decade. Same with internet penetration, the same with laptops and so on and so on. And I believe today we are roughly in the second or third year of the robot decade. So although we kind of not really see that everywhere, I can tell you based on the International Robotics Association, there are around 30 million commercial robots out there. I'm not talking about the Roombas and, the residential robots. I'm talking about commercial cleaning, delivery, factory robots and these kind of things. And 30 million robots, it's a pretty, large number by itself. Mm-hmm. But if you consider again, the decade that is, upon us, that we're going from basically zero, products out there to almost 100% penetration. Okay. We are going to see billions with a B of robots out there. So think about it this way. There are 8 billion people on this planet, right? And, 30 million robots, as big as it is, it's not even 0.5% of 0.5%, right? Of the population. So we are, in this exponential growth right now. And that's actually, something that we see in our number. That's, why we decided to grow in a certain way, using a franchise model. We can talk about that later, because we get demand from so many different places that need to have robots today, right now, and we just can't be everywhere all the time. So when we look at the horizon, what's coming, I can just refer to one, person, Elon Musk. A couple of weeks ago, we had earnings, call with, the Tesla shareholders. And he said that they're going to deploy 1 billion with a B, 1 billion of their Optimus robot, the humanoid robot, by the end of 2030. So this is something that, just one company with one single robot, you're going to do 1 billion products. Okay.
Well, I'll believe that when I see that. Elon Musk also told me that I could buy a Tesla and it would be making money self-driving as a taxi about 2015 or something like that. So I'll believe that when I see that. But I have talked to investors behind Figure.ai, which is, a humanoid robot company that will compete with Optimus. And I've talked to the executives with Aptronic and many others
Figure
as well. And many of them are saying, hey, you know what? We expect the numbers of humanoid robots to be roughly equivalent to or surpass the human population at some point.
Exactly.
So that point in general is not tremendously controversial in the robotics community, at least.
Exactly. And it's important, for, I think, people that are not from the industry to understand, what's coming, because again, we can't even comprehend that within, a decade. And let's say Elon Musk is, wrong by 5 years. Okay. We're talking about, again, it's not like, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, it's in our lifetime. Okay. We're
Yes.
going to have, as you said, more people, more robots than people. Right. And, how our lives are going to change, as a result of that, how, the service industry, the, entertainment industry, the, manufacturing and so on are going to change. And this is something that, again, we have to take a step back and look at, this overarching, trend that is happening in the industry.
It raises so many questions, and people, let's say normal people who aren't in technology, right, are already dealing with so much future shock, right? They're already dealing with so much change and change of this scale, and change that impacts potentially their wages, how they make their livelihood, all that sort of thing is going to be a tsunami, absolute tsunami. Okay, we're going to get into where you're delivering them now, what verticals, what you see growing, all that stuff. But kind of let's continue at the high level because it's been interesting.
Yeah.
I want to talk about as we enter that reality of robots entering the workforce, and maybe their hospitality, maybe their delivery, and maybe eventually they're humanoid and they're actually doing some interesting things in a factory or in a warehouse or something like that. How do you see robots and humans working together? I mean, there's lots of options, right? One human, one robot, take the job. One
Yeah.
human, one robot, help with the job. One human, one robot, do something so that you could do the job with significantly greater quality, right? And there's many more scenarios as well. How do you see it?
So let's start with where we are today. Today, we at RobotLab and, other, company manufacturers and everything, we're helping mainly business owners to automate tasks that people don't want to do anymore. Okay, that's where we are today, right? I mean, people don't want to clean floor, don't want to, vacuum corridors for 8 hours a day. People don't want to, run, dirty dishes back to the dishwashing station. These are tasks that still need to be done. We are hearing even from school administrators, the janitors are retiring. Okay, and there is no new generation that wants to come and clean the school facilities every day, but they still need to clean the floor every single day. So this is where we are today. And my observation is that it happened for many years even before COVID, but COVID kind of like accelerated that. In which, if you think about it, COVID happened almost 4 years ago, right? I mean, I believe in a week or two from now is 4 years, celebration. Since we were all sent home to flatten the curve, right? Right. It was mid-March roughly. And what
Yes.
happened is, if you think about it, people that were at these entry-level, jobs 4 years ago, they moved on, right? They are 4 or 5 years into their careers. They want, higher paying jobs, they want more responsibility. They want to build a family and, start, buying their home and so on. They don't want to do the entry-level jobs anymore. And the new generation that's supposed to, just step into these entry-level jobs, they were in 8th grade when COVID hit, right? So they never experienced, childhood the way that we experienced that, right? They never walked at the, Burger King flipping burgers or, doing all these summer jobs. Everything that they know is around, being online, being at home. So DoorDash and Uber Eats and trading crypto on Robinhood. This was their, their entire, growing up, right? As high schoolers. So, they finish, high school, I'm ready to go to the workforce. Okay. I'm going to my first job. And, the business owner is just like, oh, that's your first job. Awesome. $12 an hour, take this broomstick and start, working on there. And they're like, no, I'm not going to do that. Right. I never did that. Why would I need to do that? So this is the gap that happened. These people moved on. These people are not willing to step in. Okay, so robots today need to help business owners operate where people don't want to do these jobs anymore. And that's where we are today. We have, delivery robots that are helping in restaurants, in hotels, room service robots, and so on. We have cleaning robots that are designed to clean, large spaces. Think about, ballroom in a hotel, all the corridors, of course, multiple floors, warehouses, car dealerships, and supermarkets, and so on. And we have customer service robots, because that's also one of the largest challenges right now is people don't want to talk to people. They don't want to do customer service because everyone has attitude from both sides, customers and the representatives, right? And, robots can actually offer the way of, providing customer service, providing information in a consistent way. So these are, the robots that we see today. We have also cooking robots and these kind of things, because the same problem happened in the back of the house as well. Line cooks are in great shortage right now.
I just had a conversation. I had a conversation. It's got to be half a year ago now. Actually, it was December 8th, 2020. I just looked it up on my own website here with Miso Robotics, the founder, Buck Jordan. They make Flippy, the burger flipping robot. And he was saying that he was talking to restaurant owners, and they had nobody who would come in and flip the burgers, flip the fries, all that stuff. White Castle, big chain in the US for burgers and stuff, did a big pilot project around this. I didn't hear how it went or if they kept it or anything, but they had similar issues bringing in low cost labor to make fast food.
Yes, exactly. So this is where, robots are today, right? We have a need, businesses still need to operate. And, people are not willing to do that. So robots step in to help with with the few that do show up to work. So that's kind of like where, no, it is. I mean, think about yourself. How many times you sat in a restaurant, okay, and you ask for the check, right? And you raise your hand, like, hey, can I get the check? And the server was just a second, I'm just running over there. I'll be back in a second. And, it's been 5, 7, 10 minutes. And, she keeps running back and forth. And, she didn't forget you, but she's very, very busy. And why is that? Because the few that do show up to work are overworked. Okay, they cannot provide the level of service that we as customers expect them. And for every minute that, pass on, when we wait for the check, their tip amount is, shrinking, right? Because why are we giving tips? For the level of service, right? And if we don't get service, this gets smaller and smaller. And what we are seeing in every restaurant that we deployed a service robot, a delivery robot, the servers can stay in the dining room, and these robots save them all the running back and forth to the kitchen. So with the servers staying in the dining room, their tips actually increase because, if I run out of water, they refill it immediately. If I drop my fork, they bring me a new one immediately. If I need the check, they'll be there in 2 minutes, right? And this kind of service is what we are looking for. We have, we live in a first world, right? We have enough food at home. We go to the restaurant for the service, right? Not for, a real need, right? For food. So, if we get the service, we will recommend the place, we will, come back. So it's a positive cycle that just contributes to the business.
So that's a good segue then to talk about where you're delivering robots the most right now. What are the biggest sectors? And then we'll talk about the growth rates as well.
Yeah. So restaurants by far right now, all over the place. It doesn't matter if it's a, full service restaurant or quick serve or whatnot. Any restaurant owner is struggling with the same thing, finding people and making people show up. Because even if you have people, they just don't show up.
Right. So the robot that you're selling into a restaurant is what? You mentioned it's delivery, right? It's bringing stuff out. What's that look like? What's the form factor? I'm guessing it's on wheels. I'm guessing the top is a tray. I'm guessing it has some kind of screen and maybe some kind of talking capability.
So RobotLab is a unique company in which we don't manufacture the robots. We used to manufacture robots in the past, but we stopped doing that. Today, we are partnering with the largest manufacturers from all around the world. So for example, we are the exclusive partner for LG robots, across the North and Latin America. So we bring their robots to the market, but we are, partners with other manufacturers as well. So Typically, these robots will have shelves, a couple of wheels, sensors that they can navigate around obstacles, around people, and these kind of things. But not every robot is the same. There are different, use cases which will require different types of robots. I'll give you a couple of examples. So let's say you are, a small bistro kind of restaurant, right? And, everything is packed, people are sitting, close to each other. You'll need a smaller robot with a smaller footprint that can navigate, between these, different chairs and so on. Compared to, let's say, IHOP, type of restaurant where you have, large parties. Typically it's, parents and grandparents and kids and everything and large plates, right? So a small robot that can, navigate between chairs is not going to fit enough enough plates to bring to the table in an IHOP type of restaurant. So not every robot can do the same thing. Another example, if you're a Vietnamese pho restaurant, so you serve giant bowls of boiling, liquid, right? You need superb suspension. We actually have, one of the manufacturers have a drive pattern that, when the robot drives, it has great suspension, but it also, as it slows down, it actually leans backward, making sure that the liquid won't spill, out of the bowls because they are focused on this type of, of food. So not every robot is, the best fit for every restaurant. And that's what we do. Our team actually partner with the customers and we ask them a lot of questions about, their environment, their food, their kitchen, their floor, their, width between the tables, the aisle width between the tables and so on. And based on all of that, we recommend the right product that will be successful in their environment. So these are, generally speaking, delivery.
How does that work? How does that work at the table? Does the robot come up and say, "Hey, here's your food," and you have to grab it off the robot? Does a server come by and put it on the plate? How does that work at the
So
table?
that's a great question because again, not every restaurant is the same, right? If I go to a Chick-fil-A, for example, it's a fast restaurant like McDonald's for those who don't know. It's okay if the robot comes next to me and I take the tray and put it on the table. Actually, I don't expect any more service than that. And it's pretty cool that I was served by a robot, right? But if I go to a high-end, steakhouse or something, fine dining restaurant, I don't want to take the plate by myself because again, we are paying for the service. I want the server to present the food to me and say, "Hey, Mr. John, here's your steak, medium rare, the way that you asked for it. Would you like some extra salt and pepper?" Right? So in that case, the robot needs to be in a holding position. Okay. Just like where they put the foldable tables with the giant, trays that they bring, the robot is in a holding position. The server takes the food from there and present to the guests, right? Because, in that type of environment, it's not acceptable that the guests will, take the food. Yeah. So we are working with the restaurant owners. We have different standard operating procedures for different types of restaurants, just to match the, the level of service that, they want to provide to their guests with the right technology. But in either way, okay, the servers stay with the guests and that's the purpose. Okay, because the server needs to serve the guests, right? Not to run back and forth. Yeah. This can be automated.
Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. So restaurants is a big growth area. What other verticals are significant growth areas right now?
The other vertical that we see a lot of demand is in cleaning. The entire cleaning industry. It can be hotels, again, restaurants, assisted living facilities, very, very, in high demand right now. They all, suffer from labor shortages and they can't clean, enough of, their facility because they don't have people, they don't have the manpower to do that. So, we have, for example, some of our customers, assisted living facilities with 200 rooms, they have one cleaning lady. One.
Wow, that's impossible.
It's hard. It's hard on her because she can't do everything. Okay, she can't touch the entire facility every day, right? And it affects their cleaning less score and all of that. So when we introduce robots today, by the way, cleaning robots are mainly for public spaces. We don't have yet robots that can clean rooms or bathrooms and these kind of things. But even helping with public spaces, all the corridors, the ballrooms, the dining area, reception area, and all of that, we're talking about hours per day. We're talking about tens and hundreds of thousands of square feet at the end of the day. So this is a great help for them.
I assume retail is another interesting area as well. I think it was Walmart that recently did a pilot project with a stock sensing robot,
Yeah.
going down the aisles, what's low, what needs to be replaced, all that sort of thing.
Yeah. So there were a few attempts in the past few years by different companies to do the stock keeping robots. Uh, as far as I'm aware, most of them are still in the pilot phase or, were discontinued.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is that the way that it works, the robot basically has a long, post with cameras and, just take pictures of all the items on the shelves. And in many cases, the associates at the store bring, let's say, there is only one box of cereal, left, right? So the associates bring that to the front of the shelf, right? And
It's full, no problem.
exactly. So, the robot can see behind that. So that's a problem that
Yeah.
was still not solved. So, most of these are still in an early phase. I'm not familiar with any successful deployment of this type of robots. But when it comes to cleaning, Walmart as an example, or, any supermarket, right? I mean, cleaning their floors, either on a consistent basis, so, it just goes up and down to clean, or, milk was spilled in, aisle 4, right? So someone needs to get there. Send the robot, let the robot clean that. Instead of, taking a cashier or someone else that is doing something more important. So this kind of thing, automating
Like
this kind of thing
actually
is very
helping a
important.
customer. Exactly, like actually helping a customer. I mean, trying to get help where, in one of these stores is really, really challenging.
Yeah.
Um, most of these most of these jobs that you're talking about are jobs that don't require a significant amount of engagement with humans. They require safety protocols. You need to get around humans. You need to be careful where humans are, but they don't involve a lot of interaction with humans. Where do you see that coming in? Is it coming in already? Where do you, and if so, where? And do you see technologies like LLMs, GPT-4, that sort of thing, being important in that?
Yeah. So on these types of robots that we discussed so far, they have sensors and everything. They are safe around humans. Every time they have laser sensors and ultrasonic sensors and cameras and so on. So every time they detect motion or something, first, rule is stop. Okay, let the humans pass, and then you can keep going. If the person stays there or the obstacle stays there, then replan a path around that and try to find another way around that. So this is what these robots are doing today. And again, these robots, as you said, I mean, they're not talking to people, they're not engaging, they're not entertaining. Yeah, some of the delivery robots have birthday songs, so if they deliver the cake, they'll, sing happy birthday, but that's fine. That's not an interactive kind of, a way to talk to customers and all of that. We have another section of robots that are designed to be customer facing, designed to answer questions, to talk about, product, services, about the location. So I'm sure you're familiar with Pepper, humanoid robots from SoftBank Robotics. So this robot is designed to be, customer facing, to answer questions. It can actually speak and understand 26 different languages. So think about it as a concierge at a hotel. Okay, answering all these repetitive questions like when the airport shuttle leaves, what are the hours of the gym? Can you recommend restaurants around here? Can you recommend attractions for the kids? Right. So all these repetitive questions can be answered, in a coherent way constantly. It doesn't matter if it's 6 a.m. in the morning or, close to midnight. You don't have, either missing employees that don't show up in the morning or, employees that talk back and, bring, attitude in a way. Or, you're laughing, but that's, reality. Or people that just sit on their social, media on their phone on the back office for 2 hours and they actually don't even, occupy their station. So these are, real stories that I'm hearing from, from business owners. We even have these robots in assisted living facilities where they're helping, especially with people with dementia. That is a big issue right now because we don't have assisted living facilities don't have enough therapists to work with the residents with dementia.
Yeah.
And these people wake up in the morning and they don't know why they're there, why they're not home, where is their spouse, where are the kids, why I'm being held here. And they're not stupid, they just forgot, right? They just don't remember what's going on. So, we need to go to them and just, hey, Mrs. Jones, you are here because you have a memory issue. We're here to help you. Your spouse will come later this afternoon, your kids will be here and so on. Just try to ease them back, into the daily life. And we don't have enough therapists to do that. And robots are great, assistants because, this type of robot, Pepper, for example, can come over, can show on the tablet. It has a tablet on the chest. It can show pictures of their wedding day. We work with the families. We work with the, facilities, picture of their first child that was born and so on. And basically lower the level of stress because, think about yourself. You wake up in the morning, I'm being held here. The door is locked. Why am I here? I want to go home. I want to go to my family. You will not hold me here. And, because we cannot talk to them, okay, they get frustrated, they get upset and, sometimes violent. So they lock them in the room. We just accelerate this time. And this is not the way to treat, the elderly. And robots are not judgmental.
No.
The robot will do that 50 times a day, right? Without any problem. It's not like, hey, I told you 5 minutes ago. Can't you remember? It's not going to have this attitude or issues because it's a robot. And that's kind of like where customer-facing robots can, help, different types of people, right? From hotels all the way to assisted living facilities.
I saw a lot of that kind of robot at CES in January of this year, actually. And at the time, I was super skeptical. And I was like, okay, you're going to put this, like one that I saw sort of sits on a desk or a table or a counter or something like that, has a screen, not really a face, but sort of glowy eyes and sort of a mouth smile. And I was like, come on. But I can totally see it. My mother has been diagnosed with dementia, and I can totally see it as something that would be incredibly helpful. And people like this come to need 24/7 care because they get up in the middle of the night and they go somewhere and they don't know where they are and they get lost and they get upset and they get scared. And we simply don't, even if you're paying $10,000 a month for a super amazing care facility, there just aren't enough people to be with them all the time. And you know what? As their kids, we're working, we have jobs, we have our own kids, we can't be there 24/7 either. So I think there is huge opportunity there. Okay. We've talked about a lot of the stuff that I wanted to get into. I wanted to maybe ask one question before we start to come to a close. Where do you see the biggest opportunity over the next few years? We've talked about a couple different verticals. You talked about, you think we're in the decade that robotics follows the path of the smartphone, follows the path of other technology that becomes ubiquitous in basically 10, 15 years or something like that. Where do you think are the biggest areas of opportunity?
So the biggest opportunity is actually in the service side of that. How do we enable business owners, okay, and build their trust in this type of technology? That's the biggest opportunity, and this is something that we are working really, really hard to solve. Our goal, my goal to the team is basically to have RobotLab offices in 100 metro areas by the end of next year. Okay, because when we think about it, let's take, the car industry as an example. When, everyone knows Henry Ford's biggest invention is the production line, right? The ability to, produce the Model T in low cost and, high volume and all of that. But everyone forgets another invention that probably was more important from Henry Ford, which is the car dealership model. Because let's say you're in, Los Angeles, in San Diego. Okay, this guy, Henry Ford, is building cars, cheap cars, okay, in Michigan, right? I'm not going to buy it from Michigan because if it breaks in Los Angeles, what am I going to do? Am I going to, carry it with a, tow it with a horse, all the way to Michigan to fix it? Right? I need someone in my backyard that I can go down the street from me that can take care of me if something goes wrong. Right? And this was the, in my mind, this was the pivot point that basically unlocked the potential because people want this technology. They want the benefit of the technology, but they are afraid from, putting their money into this type of thing if they won't get service. So this is something that we are really, really focused on because I can guarantee our product portfolio in 5 years will look totally different than what it is today, right? With the, the pace of innovation, the pace of changes, everything will change. Okay, look at, our phones, our laptops. I mean, keep upgrading them every other year, right? So these kind of things will change, and we'll have new robots, and Optimus eventually in 15 years, not 10, will be there, right? But we will get this type of technologies that will enable things. But again, no one will buy Optimus, okay, in Reno, Nevada. Well, there's a Tesla in Reno, Nevada. In Tampa, Florida, right? No one will buy that if there is no service available, down the street from me. So that's the biggest opportunity. How do we unlock that, model where everyone feels comfortable enough to step into this, new adventure, right? Of putting a robot in my business and relying on a robot, for my business. And to do that, I have to have someone to take care of it. So that's where, in my mind, at least, the biggest opportunities.
That's super interesting. I was going to bring up a counterfactual. I was going to say, hey, Tesla doesn't have dealerships, but essentially they had to build dealerships because they needed to solve the service issue, and so they don't have enough. I know because I drive a Tesla.
Yes.
It's sometimes harder
Yeah.
to get to them, but yeah, they had to essentially build that entirely themselves, and the cost of that, of course, is significant. Now, you mentioned earlier you're doing a franchise model. That's a new one. Most people, they think about franchises, they think McDonald's, they think Wendy's, they think something like that, right? If you're doing a franchise model, that should help you grow quickly, I
Yeah,
assume.
exactly. So that's, when we look at our company, we grew year over year. We're doing it for, 16 years, year after year, we grew. But we got to the point, especially when you look at exponential growth, right? That the next step is so much, bigger than where we are today. And we can't do it with our resources. We can't open, 50 service centers around the country tomorrow. And we looked at different, growth strategies, and, time and time again, the franchise model came to be the right model, because we're talking about business owners, okay, that are passionate about, the market, about the industry, about servicing, customers. And, they'll do everything in their power to be successful, because again, it's their business. We train them on everything that we know. We have all the training materials. We have, hundreds and hundreds of hours of online learning system on every product that we provide. We have, on-site training. We have all the SOPs, the standard operating procedures and everything, but we're just missing the people on the ground. And, marry these two together. Okay, this is basically an unstoppable machine. And I think what will unlock the biggest potential here, because again, business owners are waiting to have someone down the street from them.
Super interesting. I want to thank you for taking this time and for having the interesting conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me.